I started to go to Palestine when I was 24, 25. It was after I moved. I left Israel. I'm in Israeli. I left Israel and went to live in Paris. I started to come back to Israel and started to become more interested to learn more about where I come from and what is who I am, and to understand better Israeli society. And I felt that in order to do that, I have to discover what happening in the occupied territories. So I heard there were a few friends of mine who told me there are some demonstrations in the West Bank, peace demonstration with villagers, and I was very curious by that. So it was a way for me, this movement, these demonstrations in the beginning, to discover Palestinian people. And what was impressive for me, that the people were so open, Palestinian people were so open to us Israelis, not just because we came to support them, but because they had this openness towards other people, which I was found to be very, very surprising for me. And I found a lot of inspiring people. An old friend of mine surprised me after I haven't seen him 10 years. He lives here in the US, and he's a Palestinian from the West Bank. And this friend I haven't seen 10 years. He was maybe the first Palestinian friend and first Palestinian person that I knew in a very close way, because he was a good friend, and he is a good friend. And we spent long times. He entered from Palestine, from the West Bank to Israel as an illegal person, and I have him as a guest in my house in Tel Aviv at that time. And we had an interesting exchange talking about the world, about politics, and became good friends. So this period with this friend and with other people that I met along the way made me realize that we have to fight for the freedom for these people. They should not be in this state of occupation where their freedom is taken from them and their dignity is taken from them, and they're locked in a position that they cannot develop. And it's not just to be poor or to be it's to be humiliated and to feel basic privileges and the ability to control over your life are taken from you. And that's what I discovered in my first years when I went to the West Bank as a 25-year-old, 26-year-old. And later, after spending a long time there, I started to, because I was a filmmaker, I studied film, and already when I was younger, and I wanted to do fiction film. And actually that's how I met this subject of my current film protagonist, Amir, who is an acting teacher. So I went to study with him to make fiction films. And during my visits in Palestine, I realized that maybe I can do something with my knowledge as a filmmaker, and I started doing documentary films, even though it was not my original intention to do documentaries. So that's how I ended up starting my film making career as a documentary filmmaker, and not in Israel, my society, but more in the Palestinian society, which led later on to make my first films, and then later on to make 5 Broken Cameras, along with Imad Bornat, who's a villager from Belain, and to create this piece with him that had an extraordinary success, and was nominated to the Oscar in 2013 and won an Emmy for Best Documentary that year. So